How do you learn to speak English? Learning to speak English is an important goal for many people, and there are methods that work well for this purpose. Before we dive into these methods, it's helpful to understand how humans learn. When you know the basics of how learning works, you can tell the difference between good and bad strategies. There are two main types of learning: explicit learning and implicit learning. Explicit learning is conscious. This is when you know you are learning something specific, like studying grammar. For example, if a teacher explains the past tense, you are consciously learning how to use it. Implicit learning, on the other hand, happens unconsciously. The learner doesn't always know what they are learning. For example, when you listen to a conversation in English, your main goal might be to understand what is being said. But during this activity, you are also learning grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure without realizing it. Both explicit and implicit learning result in different kinds of knowledge. Explicit learning gives you explicit knowledge, which requires conscious thought to use. For instance, if you learn grammar explicitly, you may need to think about the rules before speaking. This can make it hard to speak fluently because there's not enough time to think about every rule while talking. Implicit learning, however, creates implicit knowledge, which you use naturally without thinking. Consider how you speak your first language. It feels effortless because it is based on implicit knowledge. That is why implicit learning is better for speaking English fluently. Many English learners, however, focus too much on explicit learning. They watch grammar lessons on YouTube or memorize rules, but this kind of knowledge is not very helpful for speaking. Now, let's discuss 3 methods for learning to speak English that really work. The first method is listening. Listening to English as much as possible is a simple and effective way to improve. You can listen while driving, exercising, or waiting in line. This method is easy to do and helps you get used to the language. However, it is also passive. Listening alone is not enough. You need to combine it with speaking practice to see real progress. The second method is using English speaking courses that focus on implicit learning. These courses often use repetitive questions and answers to help learners practice speaking naturally. For example, a course might ask, "Is there a cat?" And you reply, "No, there isn't a cat." These courses are helpful for beginners because they provide immediate feedback, which allows you to improve quickly. However, they also have limitations. They only teach the vocabulary and phrases included in the course. Once you master the content, you might stop improving unless you find new ways to practice. The third method is imitation. This involves listening to a conversation or story in English and then retelling it in your own words. This method helps you learn grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure while practicing speaking. It is great for intermediate and advanced learners because it allows unlimited learning. The more you practice, the more you improve. However, imitation can be hard for beginners because they might not know enough vocabulary to retell stories effectively. Beginners may need to use speaking courses first before trying this method. To summarize, learning to speak English is most effective when you focus on implicit learning. Listening, using speaking courses, and practicing imitation are 3 methods that can help you improve. Start with the method that matches your current skill level and gradually build your confidence and fluency. With consistent practice, you can achieve your goal of speaking English fluently. Combine listening with active speaking exercises and be consistent in your practice. With time, patience, and effort, you will achieve your goal of speaking English fluently. English is a global language, and mastering it will open doors to new opportunities and connections. Keep practicing and enjoy the journey. The effort you put in today will lead to great rewards in the future. Take care, stay motivated, and keep moving forward. Goodbye and best of luck on your English learning adventure.